What's up, gentlemen? This is Rising Phoenix Podcast, a podcast about how to rise up after your divorce. I'm your host, divorce coach Michael Rhodes. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to the show. This is episode 111. This will just be a solo episode where I will be recapping my recent road trip. If you're not interested in that, you're probably going to want to skip this one. But I will say that I'm going to give somewhat of an update on my mental state and where I'm at the end of this thing. You don't have to stay tuned. You could just fast forward, I guess. But let me start with why this road trip came to be. And that was because there was talk at some point earlier this year. I don't remember if it was myself or someone else or how it came about, but there was talk of having a get together, a party, if you will, at my place here in Pennsylvania. I used to do that when back before my ex left. I used to have and then, of course, COVID hit, but I used to have a party pretty regularly. I have a decent sized yard. So I would get bounce houses, bands, face painters. I think one year I had a tarot card reader and fire breathers and all kinds of shit. It was always a good time. I would put up a projector and a big screen outside, and we would play Madden, football tournaments on PlayStation. And I really missed having those parties, so I thought maybe this is the year to bring it back. And with that came, well, why doesn't everyone come here? Everyone being the guys that are in my program. And in a weird sort of twist of fate, I'm not sure the word, but four of my clients, students, brothers live in Texas. So there was talk of these gentlemen getting together, getting an RV and driving up to Pennsylvania. And I thought, what a great idea. I'll join you. And so I purchased the plane ticket and decided that I was going to fly to Austin, meet up with them and drive back in an RV. Unfortunately, one by one, people had to drop out for various reasons. And it was disappointing and frustrating, but I understood there were legitimate reasons from what I could tell. And even if they weren't, it is what it is, right? So it unfortunately didn't pan out that way. The plan didn't come to fruition, but I decided because I bought the plane ticket and because I committed to this idea, and the idea was to record in the RV while we're driving and then stop and meet people along the way and do roundtable discussions and record that. I didn't have a real plan in terms of format other than let's just sit down and talk about the shit we've been through. And so even though I wasn't going to have people with me, I knew that I could still meet up with folks along the way. And that was still the plan. And so I decided that I was going to go through with it. And so I flew to Austin on the 30th of July, one day after my little daughter's birthday. I decided that's when I booked the flight. And I got to Austin around noon on Sunday, the 30th, and spent a few hours meeting various folks, Dan and Richard, and then Jim. These aren't in order, and then Warren. So I got to sit down and talk with a few guys. I didn't record every interaction, definitely not. I wish I would have had a camera crew follow me around. That would have been weird. But I definitely missed opportunities to record things. But I did manage to record some with Dan and some with Jim. And I'll get to sort of what I'm going to do with all this stuff. I don't know how any of this footage has turned out. I'll cross my fingers. There were times when the battery would die on the camera, or I didn't set up the microphones correctly or whatever. So it might all be a wash. We'll see. So anyway, so I spent the night then in Austin, woke up in the morning and headed for Dallas. And as you know, if you're in the Divorce Support for Men group, there was events planned. And the first event was in Austin. And I was fortunate to have some folks come out. But I had already known all these folks through the Discord or through the Facebook group or through my program. But the Dallas event, I didn't know anybody. There was a few people that were said that they might, maybe they would, or yeah, they could, or no, or maybe, or whatever. And unfortunately, but in some ways, fortunately, only one person came out, and that was Jose. So I guess let me back up. I got to Dallas, or on my way to Dallas. I kind of decided that this trip I could do whatever the hell I wanted because I didn't have any constraints or restraints. It wasn't like someone. The only thing I had to do was be in Baltimore at some time. I couldn't remember the times exactly to pick up people at the airport on Thursday because the guys who had talked about taking the RV were actually just going to fly. So the only deadline per se, or only place I absolutely had to be was in Baltimore or really at the BWI airport at some point on Thursday. It turned out to be Thursday afternoon. So because of that, when I was driving to Dallas, I saw a sign for Waco, Texas. And, being born in the 70s and being sort of an 80s, 90s kid, I am certainly familiar with the Branch Davidian stuff that occurred in Waco. And so while driving, I did a quick search and it was available to go see. You could go to the place where it all happened, and it was still there to varying degrees. So I made a detour and I went to the Branch Davidian compound, I guess, and it's still there. Those people are still there, but they're closed on Mondays. Which is weird, but there was a gate and it had signs, enter at your own risk and donation, suggested donation per car. So you literally, if it was open, and by open I mean it just wasn't open to the public. While I was sitting there were two trucks that came in and opened the gate and went in. But then you can see a big rock monument, I guess, that says the Branch, and it talks about who they are or whatever. I thought I could see a church back in the back left corner. It wasn't really that exciting because I didn't get to go in, but it was still cool nonetheless. I've seen the movie that Netflix released, I think last year. I haven't seen the documentary. Everyone tells me I need to watch the documentary, and I definitely will. I just thought it was a I shouldn't say once in a lifetime, but I don't know the next time I'll be near Waco, Texas. So I took the opportunity and I did record some footage there. I took pictures more than I recorded anything. I did do live videos throughout this journey. And if you go to my page, Michael Rhodes Divorce Coach on Facebook, you'll see I did a lot of live clips or live videos. And again, I'm going to talk about what I'm going to do with all this footage, but so from there, I headed and I got to Dallas. I think it was around, I want to say 1 o'clock maybe in the afternoon. And I just went and had lunch. And then I had to take care of some work stuff. Even though I was on vacation, there were still some things that I decided I would take care of. So I spent some time taking care of those. And then I walked around a little bit more and hit a coffee shop and uploaded episode 110, the episode with Jonathan. And once I got that done, someone suggested go to Old Town downtown Dallas, and it's like a replica or a preserved section of town from like the 1880s or 1800s or 1700s or some shit like that. It was really cool. It had like old saloons and different the doctor's house and dentist's office, bank. It was really cool, but again, it was fucking closed. So I could go in, but there was nobody in like working the shop or any guides telling you about the buildings or anything of that nature. But I did get to walk around in 105-degree fucking weather that it said it felt like 110. I don't know. It didn't feel like 110. It felt like a fucking million because it was so fucking hot. And I did a lot of walking. And so throughout the course of the day, I hooked up with Jose, and he picked a good spot for dinner. I met him there. We started, we had a great conversation during dinner, and I asked him if we could record just a few minutes, and we did that, and he was gracious, and he really, and you'll hear this going forward, but this trip, he was the only one that I didn't know previous. And so I owe a huge debt of gratitude to Jose for taking the time to not only, recommend and meet with me, but then to talk with me and allow me to record it. He really kind of I don't want to say he made the trip, but man, it would have been, Austin was great, but it would have starting off essentially the first real part of the trip the travel part. If I would have drove to Dallas and then had met with nobody, that would have really fucking sucked. So I huge debt of gratitude to Jose for doing it. And then he took me to my car after we had dinner and after we recorded. Just a great guy, a great experience. It really meant a lot to me, honestly. And I thanked him, and I'll continue to do so during the appropriate times, because it really picked me up, and especially after I walked for probably, I don't know total, but from going after I uploaded episode 110, I probably did about 45 minutes of straight walking in that 105-degree fucking heat. So, and then we had great food, great conversation. It set the tone for me in a lot of ways. And so then after that, I hopped in the car. I'm not sure what time it was. I think it was later in the evening, 5, 6 o'clock, maybe. It might have even been later than that. I'm not sure. And then I drove for a few hours. I did stop at a Buc-ee's. Those of you that are in Texas, and I think they're also in Florida, know what the fuck I'm talking about. I had no idea what the fuck it was, but those signs were everywhere. So I was like, all right, you got me. I'll stop. And I did pick up a few things, and I'm glad I did stop, because it's an interesting place. Someone in my group said it's like a gas station and Walmart had a baby. That's what Buc-ee's is. It's interesting. So I stopped there and then continued on. I ended up spending the night in Arkadelphia, Arkansas. My initial plan was to get to Hot Springs, Arkansas, and so on the way there, I did a search. I'm a Hampton Hilton guy. I have some points from the work travel, and there was nothing. And apparently, Hot Springs, Arkansas, is so small that they don't have Hampton or Hiltons right in Hot Springs. So I found a decent Hampton Inn in Arkadelphia. Arkadelphia, yeah, I think that's how you say it. And I got there and I pretty much crashed out. And then I got up the next morning and I headed for Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I have a friend who went through the Alpha Code because he was a podcast listener and he heard about the Alpha Code. Then he went through the Alpha Code, and now we're in another Alpha Code program together. It's called Inspired by Me. That's a whole other topic, but him and I happen to be in that same group. And of course he knows me because he listened to the podcast, and then he ended up joining the Alpha Code. And I spent the night at his place. We went out for a little bit, had a drink. I had the best old fashioned I've ever had in my life. Shout out to, I wish I knew the bartender's name. I don't remember it, but that fucking old fashioned was awesome. And then we did some recording, and he turned the camera on me and asked me some questions, and sort of held my feet to the fire, just in terms of talking about my experiences and what I'm doing and why I'm doing what I'm doing, and really just asking some tough questions, I guess, in some ways. But it was very emotional. He thanked me for, sort of leading him out of his darkness, and we both cried, and it was really, really nice and really touching, but it was also very emotional. And that's sort of a theme that I'm going to carry out through this thing. And when I get to sort of, my state of mind, I'll kind of talk a little bit more about this, but I had a great time. I'll go back a little bit. So on my way, again, the theme of like, I'll go wherever the fuck I want, whenever the fuck I want. I noticed that Memphis was right on the way, and I told this story, and I'll probably put this out later, but it's in one of my lives. I told the story how many years ago, 1998, I think, I found myself in Memphis, Tennessee, when I was stationed in New Orleans, Louisiana. We got evacuated for a hurricane, and it's a long story. I won't tell it now, but I ended up one night in Memphis and had a great time, but I hadn't been back since. And so, because Memphis was right on the way, I said, fuck it, I'm going to stop. And I did. I had the best fucking lunch. I had half a rack of ribs. I had a couple of cocktails. I think there were funky monkeys. Even came with little monkey candy things, for lack of a better description. Had a couple drinks, had my lunch, had another drink at BB King's place, got some a hat, souvenirs, shit like that, and then got back in the car. I was probably only in Memphis for an hour and a half, give or take. And I'm really fucking glad I did. Again, it brought up kind of a lot of emotions about my past, and had been since 1998, and that, man, my life, my world was different then. And so it was another emotional part of the journey. And then, like I said, I made it to my buddy Adams and spent the night there, and again, had a great time. Got up the next day, showered, and then got on the road. Big shout out to Adam. He asked me if I had a cooler. I'm like, I don't have. No, man, I don't have a cooler. He got me a cooler. He cleaned it out. He put waters and sandwiches and snacks in it. I mean, it was, I'm very appreciative. And again, this goes to the emotional aspect of this whole thing. And so then after that, I decided to the plan was to head for Cincinnati. And again, after a lot of communication and back and forth in the event that was created, it was determined that probably the best place to go was Dayton, because I have a student / client / brother who lives near Dayton. And then, of course, Pete, who's been a longtime member of the Discord and a longtime podcast listener and a friend as well, was near Dayton, or lives near Dayton, maybe in Dayton. And it was determined that was really the best place for us to meet. So I made it to Dayton and had a great dinner, had a couple drinks, did some recording with myself. Shout out to Josh, my student client brother, who was there with us, who got a phone number of that smoking hot waitress. Congrats, Josh. I hope you fucking called her. If not, I'll take it. I know I'm far from Dayton, but man, she was quite lovely. So after that, I hopped in the car and I drove for about 2.5 hours. I think I ended up in Cambridge, Ohio, wherever the fuck that is. And again, found a Hampton Inn, spent the night, crashed out pretty immediately, got up the next day, and then headed towards the airport. I actually had to take the rental car back, get on the shuttle, go back to the airport, and then get on the shuttle, and then go to the long-term or the express parking so I could get my car. In the meantime, the guys that flew into Texas were there, and I was actually able to meet up with them and actually ride the shuttle back to the parking area with them. So it kind of all worked out. And then we drove to Ellicott City, which is a little bit south of Baltimore. And again, this is all done sort of via the events and the people that had expressed interest in going, and we were able to meet up with Frank and Bill, and then of course Dan from Texas and Isaac from Texas were there. So there was 5 of us. Did a little bit of recording, and had a great meal and great conversation, and then and that was a wrap. And then I headed home, and I brought Dan and Isaac to my place, and then eventually to their hotel. And then the next day, everyone started rolling in. And when I say everyone, some of my other students / clients, Scott came, Ron came, and Eric came. And I'm super appreciative to all those gentlemen for coming in. We had a great Friday evening, just hanging out and talking, and spending time together, smoking cigars, having a few drinks, just cooked burgers on the grill. My oldest daughter intermingled with the group quite well, and was the life of the party, I think. And my little one was there as well, but she was kind of keeping to herself. But it was a great experience. And then Saturday I had a much larger party where a few other folks came from out of town, and we had a pretty good time. Shout out to all those folks who came, Ian, that stopped by, and James, and of course all of my local friends. Of course, Mr. Christopher Long, I have to thank him. He cooked chicken wings, thanks Chris, and fries, and we had all the other accoutrements, salads and chips and pretzels and all that good shit. So it was really a good time. But it was the whole experience from start to finish was pretty draining and pretty emotional in a lot of ways, for various reasons, to talking to other people, to driving 6, 7, 8 hours a day, every day for a couple of days straight, to trying to make sure that there were people in these cities and trying to get commitments from folks and trying to pick places. And, it was really hard in places where I'd never been, like Dallas and like Cincinnati/Dayton. I had no fucking idea where to meet. I could Google and just pick a random place, but I tried that, but it was nice that the people that the people that committed and the people that came were really good about picking somewhere, and I appreciate that. The main driver was Josh and Pete in Dayton, and Bill in Baltimore. He picked the Ellicott City place, and it was definitely helpful, but there was a stress around it, trying to figure it out, and I certainly didn't want to make this journey and not meet with anybody. It would have been nice, obviously, to meet with more folks, different folks. That's why I say Jose meeting with me was I really appreciated that, because I didn't know him. He said he had listened to the podcast, and obviously he was aware of me, but we never, to my knowledge, interacted previously. And so that was really awesome. I wish there would have been more of that. But maybe next time, maybe I can get better at sort of pre-planning. I'm not too good at that. I'm not a details guy unless I need to be. I can tell you about fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, but you want to plan some type of trip, I'm just going to fly by the seat of my pants, and I'll be like, I don't know, we'll fucking figure it out. So I think I will do this again. I think I will do it again next year. I think I will also continue, and I know others have said, oh, next time I'm definitely coming. I don't think I want that. I think I'm going to do this solo from now on. If folks want to meet me in cities, that's great. But I think, and it's not a pouty thing. It's like, I'm not pissed that no one came, but I think that's what occurred. And I think the flex, and I don't think anyone would be unflexible, but the ability to just be like, fuck it, I'm stopping in Memphis, and nobody, have any moans or groans about it or complaints or whatever. It was just really liberating in that kind of way. And I don't think having someone there with me would necessarily have made some of the planning easier. I think more towards pre-planning would have been better, honestly, if I would have just, spoken with a few folks and picked somewhere prior to, and then had a set time. But I really didn't want to sort of have to rush around, and if I pick like 4:00 and I realize, shit, I'm not going to be there till 6. Like I just kind of wanted to play it loose, I guess. And it worked out ultimately, but I do think perhaps if I would have planned a little better, there would have been more of a turnout, but that's okay. I think I accomplished what I wanted, and that was to take a road trip to go see some things I'd never seen. I didn't see a lot of that, but I did see some, and to meet with some folks and record some things. And so my ultimate plan is to take all of the footage and put out a sort of documentary, I guess. I don't know how long it'll be. I don't know how good it will be, but I'd like to sort of recap everything via video and pictures and voiceover, and just make a little mini documentary. And again, it might be 5 minutes long. It might be 20 minutes. I really have no idea. I don't know when I'm going to start, because this whole process, while it has been fun and enjoyable for the most part, it's been really draining. It was really draining. And I also stepped back into sort of normal life, so to speak, because my oldest daughter has marching band camp, and so she has to be up early and at school early, and then picked up towards the end of the day with a little bit of a break, and then taken back, and then picked back up at like 9:30 in the evening. So it's I didn't have any time to decompress at all. Today is the first day where no one is in this house, and I'm able to sort of relax, although there's so much shit to do because I was gone for a while. The normal things, laundry and dishes and all that kind of good shit. So I haven't had a chance to really decompress and process all of this stuff. The conversations that I had, the interactions, the the beginning of the trip with the sort of disappointment that I was going to go solo, and all of the things that, you know, I just faced, and faced is probably a strong word, but all the things that, you know, that occurred. Bottom line, what I'm trying to say is I'm taking a break from everything for a week, at least. I don't think it'll be longer, but it may be. I'm going to put this out, and then I am done. I am deleting, and I've already deleted all the apps off my phone: Facebook, Instagram, all the fucking apps are gone, and including Messenger. So I'm just asking. I don't know. This happens, and I'm just. This is one of the things that Adam sort of busted my balls about. I qualify or quantify everything. Like what I'm trying to say is I need a break, and I'd appreciate it if you guys would allow me the space and the time to do that. So if you have any questions about my program, or if you want to just talk divorce, just give me at least until next Wednesday, so today is August 9th. And so I know I'm really bad at math, but I believe that makes the 16th of August my sort of return date. And actually, let's just push that until the 17th, just to be sure. I'll probably come back on the 16th on Wednesday, but maybe I'll extend it. And just to be safe, I will via this podcast episode say that let's just make it the 17th. And I will be back. I'm not quitting. I have a lot of things that I want to do, a lot of ideas, more things that need to be done, more episodes that need to be covered, more topics that need to be covered, some things that need to be covered again. There is, unfortunately, a never-ending well of things to talk about when it comes to divorce. And I'm going to continue to keep talking about them. I'm going to continue to hopefully find men to coach and help through them, or through it, to continue to build that tribe that I've always sought. And if you want to be a part of that, I would love to have you. Just give me about 8 days, and we can have a conversation. I've updated my calendar, and so hopefully no one will be able to book anything for the next week. So I think that's all that I have. I do sincerely want to thank not only the people that I met along the way, but the people that came to my house and spent some time here with me and with my family. I really, truly do appreciate it. I love all of you for being here. I do think that there will be something more formal next year, with events and sort of, we did take a few minutes at one point to burn some stuff from exes, letters, and scrapbooks and things of that nature. And I think that we will do stuff like that, more formal, more planned. I will strongly consider limiting this thing to just guys that are either in the program or have been through the program. And that's not trying to exclude you or dangle a carrot. I think it would be really cool that if people take the time to come here, and it's one thing to come here and just have a good time and party, but I think there would be, or there will be, a lot of value in furthering that brotherhood by doing things together, and it's not just drinking and things of that nature. Again, that was super fucking fun. I've never smoked so many cigars in such a short period of time in my life. And we had a great time, and I'm fortunate and I'm thankful to everyone that came. But I think next time it'll be a little bit more formal, perhaps. I don't know if formal is the right word, because I guarantee you there's going to be cigar smoking and drinking. But I just think some little bit more formal events around growth, because I don't think there is enough of that for men in this world. So if you're interested, hit me up. Just wait until Thursday, the 17th. All right, that's it. I'm out. Take care. Much love. Thank you so much for watching and or listening. Since my separation in July of 2019, I have done an incredible amount of work on myself. I've had many different therapists, life coaches, and went through different programs. I've taken all that I've learned and put it into my own program called Forged by Fire. If you are interested in having me help you navigate your divorce, please hit my website, risingphoenixdivorcecoach.com. I look forward to working with you.